This week's episode is sponsored by Change. Change is the #1 mentoring programme that teaches you e-commerce from scratch. Change has a real community with real results. I have been working with Ryan for many years now and have attended many of his events and retreats across the world and got to meet members and the amazing community of like-minded people. Ryan works with a lot of big names in the business world, helping them build online businesses and e-commerce. Change offers personal one-on-one support, no experience needed, but like anything, this takes time and is not a get-rich-quick scheme. If you put the work in, you will get the results. E-commerce and online shopping is getting bigger and bigger. This is a great opportunity for anyone that is looking for financial freedom. For more information, go follow Ryan on Instagram at RyanJB, and he will guide you through the steps to help you get started and build a successful online business. You can now follow me on all my social media platforms to find out who my latest guest will be. And don't forget to click the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you're notified for when my next podcast goes live. And boom, we're on.
Yes.
And today's guest, we've got Ben Foster. Ben, how are we?
Very well, thank you, sir. How are you?
Good, thank you. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank
Your
you for
book,
having me.
GIGOLO.
Yes.
Bit of a playboy. Started off as a masseuse and then you started getting involved with high-profile names. Some names that you can't mention, obviously, for safety reasons, but
Yes.
very interesting. No doubt we'll get into all the nitty-gritty. But first and foremost, again, thanks for coming on the show. And before we get into it, I always like to go back to the start of my guests, get more of a bit of understanding about you, Ben, where you grew up and how it all began.
Okay, fantastic. Thanks for having me. Really appreciate it.
Anytime, bro.
You know, I couldn't wait to get here. You know that. You got, you know, where I come from, you got amazing support. That's all I can say. Everybody talks about you. Going back to me. Going back to the. I'll start again if that's all right.
That's okay.
Obviously, I was born on the East Coast in Great Yarmouth, a small town called Great Yarmouth. The fishing industry and the farmers industry was the main thing for people around there at the time. So I went on the fishing trawlers at a young age. I was on the trawlers at about 13 years old. The longliners, 16, I'd done a YTS course for YTS fishing trawlers out at sea for 2 weeks, sometimes 3 weeks, as I'm sure you're aware on the beamers. Come back stinking, you know, £35 a week. So it was just to get my tickets to go offshore. Then I went in the Merchant Navy. And when I come back from the Merchant Navy one day, I walked past the college and I looked at a sports therapist course. I looked at the course and I thought, you know, a bit female, a bit feminine, you know, it's not really me. But I was really interested in human bodies, the way it worked, the muscle, the endocrine system, the whole lot, the skeletal system, the lot. Really, really intrigued me. So I went into the office and had a look, and there was all these powerlifters in there, and they were all doing the sports therapy course. So I signed up for the course. Before you know it, I finished the course. I got a distinction in what I'd done, this, you know, a little award and stuff, which was nice. And then from there, I sort of packed my bags and moved away, moved to London. And that's when I sort of, you know, met my partner and I got a job and I started working in the spa itself without mentioning any names. It doesn't really matter because the spa had nothing to do with it. It was just an introduction, realistically, to the people I ended up sort of doing treatments for. A long story short, after a few years of working with the clients, I got a good name for myself, Magic Hands, they used to say. And I'm good. I can heal people. I can help people. It's a natural thing for you to know your body better than what I do. So I just accentuate on that fact. From there, I then was working at a little gym just to use the gym to basically have a little bit of extra income and use the facilities at the same time. There was a gentleman called, we'll call him Rufus, as it is in the book, approached me and said, would you come to the house and do a treatment? And when I thought house, I thought 2 up, 2 down. Obviously, I had no idea who these people are. I don't watch TV. I'm not really into all that sort of thing. So for me, it wasn't, wow, you know what I mean? This is one of the royals, so to speak. This is normal, you know, this is great. So that night, obviously, I was chatting away with him. We arranged a treatment. A couple of days later, I went up to the manor house and I was blown away, absolutely blown away. I mean, you know, you walk into these situations and you think big fish, you know, little fish, big pond, if that makes sense. Again, I was there to do a job. At the end of the day, this is the thing where I think people get it misconstrued. I'm the boss in that environment. So it doesn't matter if you're, I don't know, Morgan Freeman. if you come to see me for a treatment, I'm going to give you the best advice I can, whether you like it or not. That's how, I'm the boss in that environment. So for me, I didn't really see it as much anything at all. It wasn't until Lady Catherine, the mum, come in and sort of took an eye to me. I mean, I was a lot younger then, a little bit more fitter. She invited me to meet the committee. I got marched around and sort of took around a room for all these ladies to watch at me like a bit of cat on and sort of mark me. And you could just tell by the looks that they were already undressing me in my eyes, And I know it sounds like a big statement from a guy I know, but if you put me in the same room as these people with my hands and my personality, they kind of take a shine to it, if that makes sense. Before I knew it, I was doing treatments for these ladies and the extras come. One lady in particular didn't really give me much choice, put it that way. She was very flamboyant. There's a lady in the book called Mags, and she is every woman's dream of how they'd want to be. Confident, really good looking, money, everything, success, the lot. And lots that like to have a lot of fun. So realistically, once I suppose the cocaine is finished and the music and the parties are all done, they still want a bit of fun. And that's where I used to come in, which started off as a massage and then slowly turned into sex. Obviously, the massage is what they paid for, as I was told by a learned gentleman. Obviously, we pay for the massage and you can do what you fucking like with my lady, but the sex is free. That was the stip then, that was what it is. You must say the sex is free. Okay, no worries. I'm thinking, okay. But again, for me, little fish, big pond, I'm standing there. I'm surrounded by all this money, all these riches, all these powerful people that, again, I recognise, but I don't know who they are. I haven't got a clue. I'm not really up on politics and things like that. So again, it's a little bit naive. Walked in there. Next thing you know, I went to do a treatment and my car accidentally broke down, which wouldn't surprise me because it was the oldest bang you could ever wish for. I didn't even realise it was going to get there, to be honest with you. Got in there, next thing you know, she's on top of me and she's riding me basically in this four-poster bed. It was late in the evening, there were a few bottles of champagne and stuff like that and other sort of drugs, shall I say. At the end of the day, it happened and it changed my whole life. Maybe for the worse, sometimes for the better, but it really did change my whole life. At that point, I would then become a sex toy for the rich and famous.
How old were you?
I was about 25 at the time, between 23 and 25. So it was about a long time ago, shall we say. I was 50 last week.
Congratulations, happy birthday.
Thank you very much.
So, young kid then, obviously, listen, if you're 19, 20, sort of, you could be groomed with these people, but 23, 25, bit of an adult.
Yes.
Was it more, you knew it was happening, but you were enjoying it? Were you enjoying their game just as much as them?
I think in the back of my mind, because I'd had so much experience with these people and seen how they'd live their lives. I mean, everybody in this industry, I don't care whatever you do for a living, if you see what these people actually do for a lifestyle while we're all running around trying to make it happen, you want to be that. You want that for your life. You want this easy-going lifestyle, this, don't have to worry about things, being able to just flamboyant, go off anywhere, get on a jet, do what you want, basically. The world is literally their playground and they all play in it. And for me, I was attracted to that side more than anything. I honestly thought that I was more getting friendly with these people, but it wasn't. It was business. And as we all know, we know what sort of MPs and stuff can be like when it comes to business. They tell you straight and you do as you're told or you get chucked away, basically.
So that was the start of it? These women, you're giving massages, getting paid?
Yes.
And then fucking them at the end of the night?
Yes, basically.
For free?
For free, in a sense. That's what they wanted me to say. Obviously, the sex is for free, because if I don't say it's for free, then obviously I'm breaking the law. So again, a gentleman from the BBC reminded me of that. He literally pulled me to one side and said, massage you charge for, and the sex is free. Remember? And I went, okay. Because again, you saw me when I come in. I'm a little bit, naive in a sense. I think everybody's the same as me, just happy to get on in life, help someone along, and do the right thing by people. But,
yeah, if you're 23, 24, and these rich people are wanting fucked, you're not going to say no.
Thank you.
So any man, like, if they're pretty, well organised and successful, like, it's a turn on.
Yes.
And if you're coming from nothing, thinking, could I get a piece of this, when really you're getting used.
Yes.
You're using them just as much, but it's a fair game in my eyes. Like, I don't really see nothing wrong with, you can say no, they can say no, simple. Yeah. But so that was the start of it. Did you then realise from a masseuse to then becoming, would you say, an escort?
Yeah, an escort. Yeah, I mean, I'm not ashamed to say, I did sell my body. That's just that simple. I mean, if you've got it, use it. It's that simple. At the time, I had it. Maybe I have now. Who knows? But still, I think for me, it was a change. I saw life so differently. Obviously, you know, one minute I'm there doing the family thing, trying to, you know, keep a job and, you know, doing the hours and everything. The next time I've got this little sideline that is basically paying for everything that I need. Because come on, let's be honest, you need 3 jobs these days if you want to be white, British and male. No disrespects, but you've got to go and work for it, haven't you? Bottom end of the scale in a sense. Forgive me. But at the same time, it really opened my eyes to what actually happens. It made me a very clever person as well, in a sense. I know nothing about anything, obviously, because I'm not that clever, but it made me very shrewd in the sense of being able to sort of suss people out, and also actually, I'm the one being used here. There was times when I sat there and it was questionable. You know, as a human, you go down, I had a little break. I remember going in the kitchen in this manor house and the party was going on in the background. I'd just had sex with one of the ladies who was a cousin to, you know, a big family, should we say. And I remember standing on this steel counter with my hands there, sort of looking at my face in the reflection and thinking, what are you doing? What are you doing? You know this is going to... I knew it was going to end badly in a sense, and I also knew that it wasn't what I wanted from life. It was questionable. Because like I said, even I'm judgmental in the times when, you know, you look at people and you think something, but it really did done a 360 flip on my life. It was like, well, actually, no, I want that. Now I know how these guys work. And they break all the rules they make. Hold on, we get arrested if we do that. How come they're doing it and getting away with it? It was a sort of, you know, thing from that sort of thing for me. To cut a long story short, it kind of made me quite, how can I put this, shrewd and very short and sharp. Should I say, what's the word I'm looking for here? Kind of like, you know, I ain't got time, I've got this to do, I've got that to do. Business come first, if it makes sense at all. As far as the sex, yeah, I loved every minute of it. I'm not going to lie.
How old were they?
They ranged from literally from 22 up until about 57 to 62 was the oldest lady that I slept with, 62 years old. And to be perfectly honest with you, you all sort of like blokes look at me and go, well, mate, but you know what? These guys look after themselves. They got bodies like teenagers. That's ridiculous. You know, you sort of, and I think the most attraction side of things for me is you think about being from humble backgrounds and having a woman with so much power while her man works for this country is sitting and watching, and you're banging away at it, if it makes sense, without, for want of a better word. I'm banging away and I'm looking and I feel so powerful at the time. I'm like, top of the world, you know, this is, I'm in charge here.
So when did it go from the massages to then having sex with them to then their husbands want to watch? Like how?
That's where the grooming side come into it. I mean, at the same time, I know it sounds funny. Again, I was young, I was naive, and, you know, humble beginnings. I know I keep saying that, but it's important for me to know that I didn't just walk into this. This was an accident that happened, basically, and changed my life. Cut a long story short, it was Mags more than anything. She, very confident lady, very powerful, married to a very powerful man. Hence the reason when Donald Trump said in that interview the other day, I can't say names, it's too dangerous. Now I looked and I shouted, thank you. Somebody understands where I'm coming from, because you can't say these names. They just don't, I don't want to upset these people. Now, I wasn't left much choice. So again, the car broke down. Next thing you know, I've had a few glasses of champagne, I've had some nice food. I phoned my partner and told her that I'm going to be staying here tonight because the car's broke down, which was a regular thing for the car anyway. It was an old postal van. And I just remember sitting in this 4-poster bed, laying there, and the windows, it was lightning and thunder at the same time and raining. And I sort of sat there and I thought to myself, this is great. You know, I'm really sort of like living it up here. It's lovely. And where it was going to go, what I was going to do, I didn't know. I woke up to literally this lady, Mags, that's very confident, standing at the bottom of the bed. And she basically took her white gown off and come towards me, and I didn't stop her. You know, I didn't sort of go, well, what are you doing, or anything like that. We just went with it, and it was amazing. I mean, the whole essence of it all was literally like a movie. You know, this is the thing. These guys live like a movie lifestyle. They all have their problems and ups and downs, the same as anyone else, but their lifestyle. So that was the first thing. And I thought in the back of my head, well, this, you know, you sort of go, I've been paid for the treatment. I'm sleeping here. I've slept with her. Okay. The guilt comes through. Am I doing the right thing? Blah, 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 blah. I left it at that. And then it got easier. Before you know it, she'd told her friends had told her friends, and then my number was going beep, 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 beep. So it was like every night for about 3 years, I was getting clientele off and on, obviously every couple of days. It started off as a massage. Don't get me wrong, some of the women that I didn't even know who they were that were there, that had been paid by Mags to have a treatment, it was their choice. You know, I give the treatment, I do the legs and everything like that, and we all know it's 5% of sexual endorphins come out from a massage. At their point, they'd either let me know by a little tongue gesture, or they'd squeeze my hand, or they'd mention the fact about the twist. In the sense, the twist of the massage was my Eastern take on that. For them, it was the
Happy
sexual
ending.
side, happy ending, yeah, basically. And from there, that was it. But like I said, I kind of deeper in the rabbit hole. I just kept putting one foot in front of the other, just kept doing what I was doing and try not to get too big for myself. And also, the worst thing was I couldn't tell anyone. One, who would believe me? And two, it was like, how can I say it to someone that I know and they know the background, children, you know, and all that sort of thing? How can I say, I'm a whore, mate, you know what I mean? I'm sleeping with these rich women and getting paid for it. So that was the difficult thing. And I kept it very quiet for a long, long time.
Were you still with your missus?
No, we got divorced after the book came out, basically. I mean, my ex-wife, Kelly, bless her, she's a lovely lady. Does amazing by my kids.
Did they know at the start, though?
I think so. I believe so. I think it was too uncanny not to. I mean, I thought so. I mean, there was an instant when we nearly got caught, and I thought that was it then. And I don't know whether Cal sort of turned a blind eye because, you know, you try and do the right thing all the while. I don't know, by your family or whatever. She put up with a lot, you know, and that's one thing I hold my hands up to. And I say, you know, I've always got her back and I'll always look out for her. And we get on really well.
How many kids did you have, too?
3.
So see, when you're getting the massages, then it's the sex. Was there dates and stuff getting then involved with that later on? Like where you're whining and dining, wearing the suits?
Yes.
Because if I see a gigolo, I'm expecting man in suit, sharp, speaks the lingo, holds a chair,
Yes.
opens the car door, shuts the car door, treats them like a queen.
A gentleman.
Boom.
Yeah.
Like, as you say, a gentleman. Like, that's what I visualise as a gigolo. Like, do you then become the part instead of going there with shorts and t-shirt, massaging someone to then the wine and dine? When did that kick in?
That was more from, can I say it, one of the Royals' cousins. She was adamant on getting me out, and it was very, you know, quiet pubs out in this sort of country without sort of mentioning any names. Again, I have to be really careful about what I say. She wanted to take me out for dinner. We went out for dinner. We had sex afterwards, massage and sex afterwards, and then I went home. That was fantastic. It was great. The model that was mentioned in the book and the actress, they wanted more of her. The actress was a bit more sly, but the model herself, she wanted me out there. She wanted to take me to the pubs, clubs, and wine and dine me and try and get me more custom, I think, more than anything. But you always felt like you were just a piece on the side, if you know what I mean. I mean, the clothes that come with it and stuff like that. I mean, my wardrobe was full of Ralph Lauren and, you know, all that sort of thing. And it was Boss, Hugo Boss. You know, I haven't got them now. I haven't got them. I've kind of like just, like I said, it sounds crazy, but I kind of found God in all this and sort of said, look, you know, I don't, you know, just do the right thing now. And it is nice, don't get me wrong, it's nice wearing a suit and it's nice getting dressed up, and every man will tell you, you can be any part you want to be when you put that suit on. I mean, I felt like James Bond, I've got to be honest. I'd get in the car, I'd go out in my old banger, I'd then go to these stately homes, I'd have a line of suits to pick one and be told which one to wear, how to walk, how to talk, who not to talk to, who to talk to. Once we're finished with what they've done and I've escorted them around, keeping my mouth shut most of the time, like you say, I'm being a perfect little gentleman, then I would get pulled to one side, to one of the rooms where they had the parties and stuff like that, with sometimes music group companies and different things like that. Drugs were rife, and there was other rooms with little things all sort of going on. I think the main thing for myself was that we all know that these people do this. We all know it. We all know that they're out there and they're snorting cocaine and they're doing drugs and they have sex parties. They do all these sort of things.
Yeah, nobody gives a fuck about that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Who cares, you know? But at the same time, it's completely different when you're there. You're in this environment. I'm their servant. Does that make sense? I'm there to serve them. But yeah, I'm very gentlemanly. Like, I think if you went out on the street and asked some people who just met me and chatted to me, they'd be like, hey, he's a legend, you know. Did
you have to sign an NDA or anything? Did you have to sign?
Yeah, I had to sign an affidavit, obviously, for the spa that I worked for, because obviously we had a high clientele, and also for the job that I'd done with the serial killer side we were talking about earlier. All part of my life, I've never took the easy route. Like I said, I'm not going to trawlers. I want to do the hardest job in the world. Let's get that done. Then we're going to try and do something else. My life is just one roller coaster from another. And I love it. Absolutely love it. I'm never going to stop.
What about the sex parties?
The sex parties were, in a sense, again, going back to it, the feeling comes over me. You can see my shoulders come up. And I'm really proud, in a sense, of myself for having the bollocks to do it. Does that make sense? It takes a lot of bollocks to do what I done. It really does. You've got to have a pair of something to be able to walk in there and hold your own with these people, let alone sleep with them. The sex parties themselves, most of the men went off to one room and I looked after the ladies. The young lads would then follow the men and I'd be there with the ladies with a few other gentlemen, shall we say. I did reach out a long time ago to one of the girls that I stood and talked to at one of the parties, and she shut me down. She said, I don't want nothing to do with it. So she, that was it. We didn't talk no more after that. I just wanted someone to come along and say, look, what you're saying is right. This is what happened, and that's what happened. So
what about a lot of the guys then? So they just all fucking gay?
Basically, that's what it seemed like. I got to be honest. I mean, it looked like to me that it's all about money. It's all about marriage
Power.
and the family, power and everything like that. And I know it sounds absolutely crazy, but you couldn't imagine they sit there and they're like, yes, you go and fuck my missus, and I shall go in here and have some fun with this one. And off they go, and they don't really give shit. Why should they? It's that simple.
That's mad, but that's dysfunction, man. Watch your wife get fucked and then away fucking a boy. Like, that's deluded for me. Like, each to their own, do what you want behind closed doors. Like, I say, I'm not asked, but it's these people in power, they just got so much money that they then just want to try new things, or are they always like that? Have they always wanted to experience that? And that's a fair game for people who want to experience things and
of
test
course,
things. Nobody's asked, but it's just mad. Like, any man who wants to watch their missus get fucked is just, I don't agree with that. If you love somebody, man, you've got to love them with all your being. And for me, as a protector, I just couldn't.
No.
Everybody's different, though.
Yeah, they are. I mean, like I said, if I'm to tell the truth, I was a sex addict. I love sex. I always have done. I mean, in my later years now, I've sort of calmed down a bit, but I just couldn't. It was my release. I know it sounds funny. Most people, they go boxing, they go skipping, they go running, obviously that sort of thing. Sex was my thing. And I was damn good at it. That was the thing about it. And in a sense, I know that sounds really big-headed, doesn't it? But yeah, you just have to get a few of the girls in it and come and have a chat, and that sort of thing with them. But, go and chuck something at me now.
No, listen, it's a fair game.
We all like to think we are good. And
you're a sex addict before?
I believe so.
Or was it just when you started getting a bit of attention?
I've always been a little bit like, really sort of like a really high sex drive. I mean, a really high sex drive. I just couldn't stop. I just, women when I was younger. I think it might also come from going to sea in the trawlers, because you never know whether you're coming back or not. So when you did get on land, you just took advantage of everything, if you know what I mean. The drink, the women, the drugs and everything, so to speak. So on the common sense.
How much drugs were involved?
Oh, God. I've never seen so much cocaine. I've got to be honest. That was like a mountain. And, people were just coming up, taking their bit and off they go, so to speak. But you've got the police chief commissioner sitting there, one of them. And, they're not going to get arrested, these guys. I remember once there was we just literally done a line, and the lady took off her jump and she laid there. The gentleman was sitting here. So she was stark naked. He was sitting there on the phone talking about something completely different to do with work. And the couch was there, and I remember sitting, and a flash went off in the corner, and she went, don't worry, it's fine. And before I knew it, two gentlemen had come out, smashed this camera off and kicked this bloke off. So even though I'd been there for 6 months, a year, I still never realised that there was two people sat there watching all the while. I thought that it was just, I walk in, this is house open, lovely. And security's everywhere. So you got no chance, do you know what I mean? I mean, when it comes to the phone and things like that, it was an adamant, you leave that here. You don't bring that with you. Okay, fair enough. At the time, it was the Nokia box, so it wasn't really anything special. But nowadays, I just wish we had the technology then. I could have put a little button on or something easily, but there you go.
How many people were at these sex parties?
Quite a lot. I mean, in one of the main halls, you used to walk in, there was the masquerade balls especially. You'd see the right wings on one side, the left on the other, and all of them all in one room all at once, in their own little groups. And the bankers, they were like packs of wolves. They all had their own little segment group, but they all knew what they come for. I did get offered by a lot of guys. Guys come up to me and offer me ridiculous amounts of money, but nah, it just, it's not my thing. It never has been, it never bloody will be. Excuse my French, but it's not my thing. When it comes to sleeping with another man's wife while she watch, you'll be surprised how many people in this world actually enjoy that. And even for myself to say it, it feels like, I don't like talking grit and dirt, obviously, but it's each to their own. You do what you want to do, as long as you're happy and are safe and there's no one getting hurt in the meantime, absolutely fine. But there is such a power thing if you think about it. You've got this gentleman here who runs everything, and his wife is there. For me, I felt like King Kong. That sounds crazy, but I want to kind of bang on my chest, if you know what I mean.
What happens if you said no to these people?
Oh, never said no. I never said no. Sometimes, like I said, the downside of it is when you say you got somebody you didn't click with, there was nothing there. I mean, not every woman in the world you're going to click with, and the same as a bloke. You sort of sit there, and one woman in particular I didn't really enjoy, but I kind of had to because it was all part. And I knew for a fact that if I jaded one, the rest of them would probably just push me to one side.
Did your life ever feel in danger?
A couple of times, only when, and this is only when, I opened the door by mistake, and I saw something like, in a sense, a gentleman with a thing on. He was chained to this bed, and there was two women and a bloke, or kind of a lad, that was sat there on all fours with a table on. And on the table was the cocaine, the champagne and everything. That was his job, just to stay there. Of course, I opened the door and I looked, and this bloke come and pushed me right away. He said, "You shouldn't be in here, blah, blah, blah." Literally, dodged on the way. "What's going on? Who is he for?" And the lady who I was with at the time, she come up and was like, no, he's with me, it's fine. And that was the only thing and only time trouble that I'd ever seen. The security, once you'd seen them once, you kind of got to the point where actually I know they're here, but you never see them. Never see them.
How powerful were these people?
Very powerful. Let's just say they run the company. They make decisions from abroad to England to wherever. You know, you've got the American side of things that was going on in there as well. And those guys are wild. Absolutely wild. You can hear them before you see them, obviously. You know, I didn't mean to make sure you cut out. But in a sense, it was, to go back to answer your question, let's say I've seen 200 people in the main hall. And that's without going into the bedrooms. I mean, all these bedrooms have all got their own little kinks with their own little things that these people have paid for. And they paid a lot of money to get their kink, to get their release, to break their boredom, like we've said. And it had to go smoothly. You know, I never saw a disagreement, an argument, all that you do on a Saturday night in the city, in Norwich City. You know, you don't get that with these guys. That's all step by step and mechanically driven. Does that make sense at all? Everything's time scaled to the point, right, we'll do this, we'll do that, and then we'll do this. Off we go. And that was, you know, for me, it was just like follow along, look out the window, have a laugh and enjoy yourself, if you know what I mean. I think if I stopped and thought about it, James, sorry, for 1 second, I think I'd have had a bit of a panic attack, to be perfectly honest with you.
What would have happened if you did start giving names?
I personally think I'd have threats on my family. I've already had threats on some, let's just say one of my children. And I didn't like it, obviously, in just that. I mean, I wrote the second book and the Met Police turned up at my door. This was last year. Since then, I've kept my head down for a year because, again, I've got more important priorities. I've got children. You know, this was my past. And yes, you know, I'm not saying it might not ever be my future. Who knows? And I live my life the way I want to live. No one can judge that, you know. But at the same time, my main responsibility and the reason I get up every morning is for my children. If it wasn't for my children, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be having this conversation. Does that make sense at all?
Yeah.
Just want to get enough for them to get away and have a life for them after having so much trouble.
Yeah, because what was your go-to then? So how would you wine and dine one of the women?
I never did. They wined and dined me. It was always the case of they want
So they would switch it?
Yeah, it was almost that they had to have control. Not all of them. There was the odd occasion when, obviously, you know, you go in. It's just the way I am. You know, you don't have to tell me to be a gentleman. I'll walk in if I see someone struggle. I'm pretty sure if anyone's seen me on 10 and I've helped them before in the past, they'd probably say, yeah, he's always there. He's a proper gentleman. And I bring my boys up to be the same. Be a gentleman. I think it's very important these days.
So how long did you do that for?
About 3.5 years on and on.
What age did you stop then? Just late 20s?
Yeah, it was at 28, 29. I remember everything went dead. I couldn't get anything. I went up to the place where I first met my first encounter. The place was empty. The chef came out and told me that they'd gone off to Saint-Tropez and I wouldn't be seeing them again. And that was basically the end of it. For me, it was a bit like, oh, okay. A few years later, one of the ladies reached out to me and she said, my back is killing me. I need your hands. And it wasn't for anything else apart from a treatment, which I find explicitly, strangely weird because I always get ready for the same sort of scenario, but it wasn't. She actually wanted me for my skill, not for the sex, if you know what I mean. So I don't know what changed. I mean, maybe they've replaced me for a younger model. Who knows?
Did you miss it?
Yeah, to be perfectly honest. You caught me out with that one, but yeah, you know, it was a plan. It was, for me, it was, right, I'll get into this. Hopefully I'll get my name quite well known and people will be wanting to, you know, come and have treatments. And I like to fix people. I like to make people feel good and heal. That's all part of the environment for being a therapist, isn't it? But I know sitting there sometimes, and I'll be perfectly honest with you, I used to sit there and think, God, Amani, I really wish one of them would text me now. Do you know what I mean? Things like that. As far as is telling the story itself, it took me a long time. One, because, again, humble beginnings. I'm a man of my word, and I don't really want to cause anyone any trouble and say, well, yeah, look what you've done, so to speak. I understand that, but when you're running our country, and I asked one of them straight to his face, and I said to him, you shouldn't be doing that, you're running our company. And he walked straight up to my face. I mean, I don't give a fuck. Why should I give a fuck? I go home at night, 9 to 5, just like yourself. I clock out. Why should I worry? I said, because you're running the company. You're looking after your decisions, make decisions for us. Well, basically, I was escorted off the premises because I defended this guy. And I think that might have what caused them to just walk away, if you know what I mean. Because I started to question, hold on, mate, how can you justify arresting all these people when you're doing it yourself? Also, coming right up to my face and going, you don't give a fuck what you think. I mean, you know, at the end of the day, I'm going to say what I think. And that was what I thought. You know, do you think you should be doing this? You're running our company. Why should I care?
How's people treated you once you've told your story and wrote your book? Like, are they judging it? Are they questioning it? How's people reacting?
I got one thing to say. It's just a book, guys. Get over it. Read it. And do you know what really annoys me more than anything is people think that they know what's going on before they even read it. Read it before you comment, you know? I mean, I've got nothing to hide. Ask me a question. I'm here. Lay it on the line. But don't mock something until you understand it. You've got to read something and understand before you can say anything about it. As far as the book itself, pretty much everywhere I went, I got looks. I've got a great saying that my actions will always outdo my words. So I'm not going to try and justify to anyone. I'm not going to stand there and argue. They can think what they want. Same as Stormzy said a couple of weeks ago, off all social media because to your face. Oh, brilliant, mate. Your book's fantastic. You know, I had someone come up the other day and said, oh, I'll read your book. So it's been online for 5 years. Feel free. Do you know what I'm saying? But then you get judged because of who you are. But then also you get the other side of things where the females are sort of looking and thinking, is there any truth in that? I kind of like that. Especially when it comes to Mags and Catherine, because the things we got up to in Gigolo was just insane. Literally insane. But at the same time, it really did bring a negative view. Because obviously I work for a living as well. So I work for a living. I'm doing a single dad's role. I'm trying to pay my taxes, do everything the right way, play by the law, do everything the way we should do and the way we've sort of been brought up to do. Realistically, they can't chuck nothing at me, can they? That's the one thing I can safely say. Yes, I'm out there, I've wrote a book, but hold on a minute. I'm still working. I'm still looking after my family. I'm still doing the right thing as a dad. So realistically, in a sense, I'm quite dangerous to these people because anyone else has usually wasted their life. They don't work. No disrespect or anything. Not everybody. You know what I'm saying? And I think, in a sense, that's brought good, positive and negative reaction. My main concern was my family. On my close friends and family, I was a little bit like, oh, guys, this is going to be coming out here, blah, blah, blah. But like I said, I can walk in a place, and I don't mean to be big-headed, I can pretty much, you know, pick and leave because they've got the rumours. Obviously, since the book, I've kind of, you know, had a couple of, say, relationships, but I've had a couple of ladies that I've been in sin with, sort of like, you know, shared some time with, and they'll tell you it's all true. And I'll say, yeah. He can walk the walk, talk the talk. And in a sense, for me, if you think about it, after something like that, you're going out to prove a point. You're not going out to enjoy yourself anymore. And this kind of my persona from where I come from is a nice, gentle guy, looks after his dad, keep his head down. Again, my actions for the last year have been just around my kids, keep everything right, pay my taxes. But there's always that question in the back of the room. There's always someone going pss, 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 and pointing and nodding. I walk down the street, oh, you're the bloke who wrote that. Oh, mate, yeah, I know, it's really good for you and that sort of thing, which is great. And nobody comes and say it to your face. I know it sounds funny, but if someone can't, mate, I read your book of shit, I'd be like, yeah, all right, fair enough, fair dues. You know, that's your opinion. No problem. But read it first.
What's your longest relationship?
16 years, my marriage.
First time?
Yeah.
Do you think if you never done what you've done, you'd have still been in that marriage?
No.
Nah.
No, I think we both come to an agreement where things weren't, you know, like, again, you know, let's be honest, the government have created absolutely nothing but shit for us. You know, I get up every morning, I go to work, I come back, man, we're all just floating and underneath, and trying to stay above water. You know, my ex-wife was going to work, I was coming back, the children, you know, life just didn't exist anymore. But if we didn't do it, we'd collapse. And I never want to live my life like that. I want to be every second of every day with my child and my wife. I want to enjoy life. But we all know the reality of that. And I think we both just got to a point where I got so consumed about getting this story out. And she obviously, with her career, bless her, we just drifted apart. And, you know, it was a little bit messy. But at the same time, like I said, for the children's sake, we always done the right thing. And that's the one thing I'll say to anyone. You go through a divorce, put your kids first. Always put your children first, because they're the ones that'll save you. They're the ones that'll get you through everything, and that'll give you something to get up for every morning and go to work and stuff.
Has the book been fact-checked in that? Because people would always ask that.
I don't know. I think a couple of people have tried to sort of have a look at it and fact-check. You mean like do a bit of research?
Yeah.
Not as far as I know. I'd like someone to, obviously, because, you know, I've got nothing to hide, like I said to you. In a sense, go for it. You know, I think, for me, I always feel like, and this is what a couple of the agents said himself, it's like, almost like there's a party that's dead against this book. They don't want that getting out there, obviously. You can't blame them. And there's also a part that people do want to get out there. So there's two factions at work here when it considered this book. But this book has caused so much, how can I put it, conversations and so much anguish in people because they're like, what's actually going on? Is there any truth? And it's like, I've even had a video from some guy that burnt it. He burnt it in his back garden and said, this is what I think your book on Facebook. And it's the reason I'm off there. I mean, the Met Police had a part of that. Once they come and paid me a visit, my social media just went ping, 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 and I got kicked off everything. Even got kicked off Twitter and X.
What do your kids think about it?
They are at an age now. Obviously, my main concern before coming to the podcast and interviews, I've been offered quite a lot. I'm not going to lie, and I've turned them all down simply because of my children. I'm not ready for them to accept this yet. They've still got a lot to do in life. Now they're a bit older, and I spoke to them, when I was chatting to you on the phone, and they said, "Please, Dad, do it. Do it. We don't care. We want you to go out there and, do your best and live your life." And I said, okay, if you're sure. And they said, yeah, hence the reason I'm here. Sounds crazy, but I asked my children whether I could come here or not. James, to be honest with you, if they said no, I wouldn't have done.
What about the second book?
Second book, there's 3 books to this. There's the first one called Lovable Rogue. That's my first book that I wrote. There's a lot of underground figures in there. And I was obviously being a trawlerman and a security doorman. There's a lot of stories in that can sort of open people's eyes. The second book is after Connor Gigolo and how it all sort of narrowed down and how I tried to continue being a male escort without the notoriety of the rich and famous. So there's a few stories in that, obviously, from the locals and, people that are, sort of East Anglia, should we say.
Would you not want to join like a company who then promotes male escorts or like an OnlyFans, like stuff like that?
No, this is the thing, you see. I didn't actually plan to do it as a living. I kind of fell into it, if you pardon the pun. And I say that every time. I'm at the gym. Next thing you know, I'm doing a treatment. Next thing you know, I'm in this room and I'm being paraded around like a piece of cattle for their pleasure. I didn't plan it. I didn't want to do that. It was mainly sports therapy. I'm really good at sports therapy, really good at fixing people's issues and ailments. So realistically, it was never on the cards. The one thing when it left was the money. I didn't have no money. I was working full time. My wife was working full time. We had nothing. Still at the end of the week, you're sitting there thinking, oh, is it worth it? What's the point? So again, I went on to a website and I put my details in there and I started doing it again, basically. I got 3-4 clients and, got a little bit of extra cash and that sort of thing. And then it just, I kind of phased away from it for a little while and just thought, I can't be doing this, You get to a point where it's just the same old thing. I know when a pleasure becomes a habit, it's no longer a pleasure. And sex become work. And I never wanted that to become work. I wanted it to be pleasurable. And that was the hardest thing about it, James. I used to walk in there and be like, here we go. Most blokes would be like, oh, this is lovely. After 5 years of doing this, you go around, you park your plan. If we go, boom, boom. I literally look up and I think to myself, I've got to go up and get that on the way home and I've got to do this. That's when I lost it.
What was your prices?
Now, there's a lot of this. Now, people say to me, you undercut yourself. Now, I'm not going to be stupid enough to tell the tax man exactly what I was earning. But let's just say everything was declared as the therapy, so to speak. But the lavishness in gifts and the lavishness in cars, watches, rings, different things like that was very, very abundant, if that makes sense. We had a little rate, obviously, and that worked well. I've kind of done a different rate since then. That's all in the past now. I'm going to say that's all in the past now. But after, like I said, and it sounds absolutely crazy. I don't want to say it. I know it sounds funny, but because I'm thinking if I drop myself in and tell you how much I'm earning, everybody's going to know. But the money, if you think about it, the money for the family was in a sense I'd make sure I walked out of there at least with a good sort of like sometimes 500 quid in my pocket. Let's just say that, okay? I can remember a certain gentleman being at a certain pub. We just finished our games. We went to a pub. Please come and have a drink. He just wanted to know me to make sure I was all right. Very high up in the courts, shall we say. And I went to this pub. I had an orange juice because I didn't drink. And he said, how much are these mass-ups? And I said, about 50 quid a pop, at the time. And he said, well, there's £500. He said, keep coming up and giving it one anytime you want one. Thank you. You're doing a lot for me here. And he says, you're keeping it off my back. And that's his wife, you know what I mean? So realistically, that was the time. So you could earn a lot of money, and sometimes you'd just be doing for the same thing. You'd walk out there with Hugo Boss, suit on or whatever, or a nice watch. I mean, the tag that I had was lovely. So I haven't got any of this stuff anymore. literally haven't got anything anymore. But at the same time, it was, at the end of it, it was always about the money. Like I said, having that feeling of just being able to, for the first time in my life, I've done something. I've sold my body. I've come out of there. I've got a pocket full of money. I look at my children. I go, now you can have those trainers. And I kind of don't care what it takes to get what I need to get for my children. I am going to do it. Even if I have to fight a war, I'll go and do it for my kids. I'm saying you would, and I'm sure everybody in this room would. So that was the case, realistically.
Are these people still living 25 years later?
Two of them have passed away. One of the cabinet ministers, should I say, passed away. And I'm not being rude enough, but like I said, I was approached to write this book, years before I actually went to the agent I'm with now. And he's fantastic, absolutely brilliant. But at the same time, I didn't want to write it. I didn't want it out there. I was kind of a little bit ashamed. Does that make sense? I've got family, I come from good backgrounds, religious backgrounds, things like that. I did not want this getting out there. So hence the reason I changed the name. That's why it's got a pseudonym. That's not even my real name. But everybody still calls me Ben these days.
After all that then, what was life like then? Especially if you're doing something that you enjoy, you're feeling as if you're getting pleasure, you're getting used, you're using people. What happened after that?
I was so depressed. I was so depressed. I hated the world. Honestly, I did. I felt like, I don't know, I had a plan, I had a part and everything. And, I got quite bitter, quite angry, quite anxious, that sort of thing. I think it was because I felt like I'd been used. I think it was a sense of it's all right for you now, you can live your high life again. And I'm just sat here with no money now. I spent it, we all do. Stupidly enough, I should say that, but I enjoyed it. I had 3 children. We had mortgage and stuff like that. We'd done everything we could do at the time to survive. So having that money in my pocket, it was just, I know. Unfortunately, we live in a world where money is pretty much everything. That's the game, isn't it? If we took it out of the world, it'd be about people. And, I said, you wouldn't believe how far I've come away from it now. Money's the last thought in my head. I wake up every morning, I have breath, fresh air and water, oxygen and water. Take that away, we've got a problem. Until then, I'm happy. I don't care what I'm wearing or what I'm doing. But I think it is spending time with these people, because the richest person in that room, I thought, was the gardener. The one that they all looked at that owned more property in this land, in England and abroad, than anybody else in that room, I thought he was the gardener. That's how badly he's dressed. So when you say about the suits and stuff, the people who have actually got the money are dressed like normal. Do you know what I mean? They're just an even worse Primark clothes. You think, and then someone come up to me and said, he owns half the country. Sorry? He owns, right, okay, fair enough. And, you sort of sit there and you think that it kind of goes out of the way. But for myself, once your eyes are open to the truth, it's hard to forget. It's hard to sleep at night knowing that all your hard-earned money is going up their nose. Knowing that all your hard work and your efforts to try and be a good man and do the right thing, play by the rules, play by the law. It's all a lie. It's all a joke.
Do you think it's a big club?
Yeah, it is. Massive club. And hence the reason why I get a little bit when people ask me questions, because it's like, guys, these guys flick their fingers and you're looking at the elite of the elite that's going to turn up on my door. I don't want that. I don't want that for anyone. And I tried to write the second book and look what happened. The Met Police turned up. It's just a book. What have they got to hide? Do you understand what I mean? It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous. Because there's any facts or anybody can be incriminated. Yeah. They'll be doing a job or somebody's told them to do their job. But these people must be older now anyway.
Yeah, they are.
Do you know what I'm saying? Where they'll not be asked what it says, or do you know what I'm saying? Back then you never had any evidence or any proof. So what you could be saying could just be made up in your mind, or it could be 100% accurate. People are only going to take what you're saying.
Yeah.
And take what they want from it.
Yes, of course. I think the only thing in my stead is when the agent come down. I'm glad you asked that, because it's the truth. I'd be exactly the same as anybody else out there. How do we know it's true? But where I lived, the times and the places, and the addresses that I give, in a sense, the agent that come along asked me, I'm going to need a little bit of proof, obviously, to go forward with this, because they're not going to put their neck on the line for something. So I give him the proof. He's the only person that'll ever see the proof. Nobody else is ever going to see it. Like I said, it's gone. It's completely gone. But it was enough for him to know that it was a true story. And it was in there. Now, if it wasn't a true story, then why have I got the police asking me questions about it? Why have I got the Met Police turning up at my door asking me, where did you get the royal family from? Where was this? Why did you mention that? How did you know this person? And when you were here, and I'm thinking, how did you know? You must have read the book. They actually must have read the book to actually know, like you say, fact bender. But the weird thing was, it's like, hold on, guys, where are we going with this? Are you arresting me? No. Okay, so what are we doing? You've just come to harass me, to tell me to behave myself. Is that right? We just need to ask you a question, really. I said, all right, ask me the question and get it over and done with. "Are you a murderer?" That was the last thing I expected to hear. I said, "Sorry, a murderer?" I said, "It's a book, my friend, and you know exactly what I'm talking about, hence you wouldn't be here." Then they started asking questions about Gigolo. That's when the Royals come into it, and he was on the phone, and he was blubbering, blubbering, blubbering. I said, "Mate, you're telling me you know nothing about what's going on, and you want to talk to me." It was so confusing, but I'll show you the videos before I leave. If there was no truth in it, why would you turn up at my door and ask me all these questions? And why are you now harassing me? It's the third time now you've done this to me. You've pulled me to one side and asked me all these questions about this book, and I'm not giving you the answers. And I don't think I ever will, to be honest with you. I think I might pass it on to my kids and say, when I pop off the clocks, go and tell everyone the truth. Now, they were more concerned in obviously the police commissioners and obviously the MPs and different things like that. It's a dangerous place to be for someone like myself. His questions were completely out of tact. They were like, how much money did you make? How did you get into it? Where did you get your information from? Where were you on this day? I went, mate, that was 25 years ago. How am I meant to remember where I was? Well, we coincide with the evidence. I said, are you pressing charges? He went, no. I said, well, let's not waste each other's time here. I said, because at the end of the day, it's harassment. I'm a dad of 3 children that works hard, pays your wages, and you're here after me. If you want to go get the real criminals, go and get your boss. The one that likes to snort cane and sit in nappies. Go and get him. And the gentleman in question started crying. I said, yeah, you know exactly what I'm talking about, sir, don't you? And he did. I wasn't horrible to him. I'm never horrible to anyone. I'd come in, have a cup of tea, let's get to talk about it.
Why did he start crying?
Because it was too truthful. Too truthful what I told him. I said, you know what you have to do as a policeman these days. It goes against every rule in men's history, if you ask me, to take someone who's hurt a child and protect them. Yeah, I know there's ways to deal with things, but these guys are basically there to protect them, not the other way around these days. And then I mentioned to him, I said, these books and these facts are true, but you're around here doing this. How do you feel about that? And to be honest with you, mate, I think I might not get another job. And there's 3 witnesses that sat in with that, listened to this conversation, plus I got it on a video. So for me, that was enough to say, look, guys, it's true. Have a look, have a read of Gigolo, and see what you think for yourself. Yes, I'm not going to lie, it's embellished. Obviously, I had a ghostwriter. I had to sit and tell him my story. He then took it and wrote it. But the main core of the story, these people, I look you straight in the eye and say, you know as well as what I do. You can see them doing this enough times when they walk into the Houses of Parliament. You just know that there's sex parties and there's cocaine and there's drugs and there's everything else you could think of that is deemed not normal like they used to in Rome years ago. Do you know what I mean by that? In a sense, that's how I used to class that. I used to think it's a modern day Rome.
What about, obviously, the sex parties or drugs, nobody's asked, but what about any younger kids, any paedophilia, any of that stuff?
See, this is the thing. That room I opened, I think that was what was going on in there. That young lad, I don't know. It wasn't my job or my place to ask questions. I said I had to know my place. But yeah, definitely. I mean, these guys are kinky as anything. Of course there is. I mean, I've heard some really crazy things come out of so-called. I'm sorry, but that's the way I so-called men's mouths. I think, no, I could never say that. I like young. Oh, do you? Good for you. For me, and that's what made me very, I suppose, depressed, very sort of like, mate, this ain't right. I always thought, from my point of view, I thought the world was a nice place to be. I had stand-up guys, good people and all that sort of thing. But in these guys, they're like a pack of wolves. They're like sharks. They really are. Yeah,
but to be in the club, you've got to put yourself in compromised positions to then be accepted, because if you turn on them, well, listen, we've got that, so it's like a power game. They've all got a hold over you. Look at the P. Diddy stuff, the Epstein,
100%.
Prince Andrew, they're all putting themselves in compromised positions. They've all got one up on each other, no matter how powerful they are. The house of cards always tumbles as well. Only thing is, sometimes it's too late for these people because they wait. They sign gagging orders until they're dead. Jimmy Savile's is another one. Who's in one of the biggest TV shows ever in the UK. Is a gagging order. And it's fucking sad, man. Like, breaks your heart, like, when people know the truth of this wee fucker, but it'll come out and it's just, you try and expose it, but then you become a target. People don't realise how much of a threat you do become. And as my platform grows, it's a game. It's okay saying, oh, tell the names, this and that, but there's a lot more to it.
It's too dangerous.
A lot more to it. It's very dangerous.
It is.
But sometimes people need to know the truth. I think when Johnny Rotten done it with Jimmy Savile, I think back in the 70s, 80s, he was banned from his BBC and other places because he exposed him many, many years before anyone.
And it takes a lot to do that, I think. I mean, massive respect here, because you're right what you're saying. You can come on, you can talk about things, you can hide and go on the outside of things. And, you know, I think there's only one person I've ever mentioned who one of the names out of the book to, and that's my dad. You know, I sort of said to him a long time ago, this is what was in the book. And, you know, so realistically, that was the only person I just had to tell someone. But you're right. These guys, they are, how can I put it, a force to themselves. You know, that's the outside view. I call it the Matrix. I'm going into the Matrix, so to speak, a completely different way of lifestyle and everything like that. As when it comes to, like I said, the conversations. I heard a conversation one night, this is what I want to say to you, about a young MP that went into politics and stuff like that. And God's honest truth, his story was exactly how it happens. And this is what I said to the policeman. He goes in with all these intentions about how he can make the world a better place for people, working people. After being there for about a year, he's bound to make some sort of mistake. Sleep with someone, snort a bit of cocaine or something. Bish back, photographs, evidence. This guy's now got to do what he's told when he's told. And it's all about leverage. You can take money out of the equation. You get leverage on someone, you know as well as what I do, they will do anything you ask them to because they don't want to be exposed. Same with this guy. So no matter how many, the guys that are at the top, the older guys, I don't even think they're the buttons in power. I think there's some people above that we'll never ever hear about, to be perfectly honest.
There's people behind the smoke screen. There's people who don't want to be at the forefront.
Definitely.
The ones that are, everybody's an actor, your Trumps and whoever it is, and all Elon Musk, and everybody thinks that they're great saviours. But for me, they're all in the same game. They're all in the same club. You don't get to that level without being connected with each other.
Definitely.
I believe, but I could be wrong. And I hope that they look as if they're doing a good bit for like America and changing a few laws. But I feel personally the world was waking up to a lot of it. So what they do is bring people in that they think's for them.
Yes.
And then people forget what you're actually fighting for and open your eyes. I hope I'm wrong, but I just think the people in power, and I always say this, but the power of the people is so much stronger than the people in power. But we were waking up there and people are realising how controlled and fucked up it is. But now it's all, we've got saviours, and anybody in that industry is not your saviour. Concentrate on your own fucking life.
Exactly. And that's my biggest question, I think, with being with these people and stuff. That's what a lot of people, my friends couldn't understand. Obviously, having this flamboyant lifestyle, being different. I am a lot different to everybody. You put me in a party, you'll see why. But at the same time, it was, you know, these guys, they know exactly what they're doing and when they're doing it. And I honestly think that's even been programmed for when they were a young age. These people know they're going to be Prime Minister at this point. They just want to keep that veil between us, if you know what I mean.
They
Keep
just
it there.
switch it as if it's a divide, as if you're choosing a team.
But they're 2 arms and 2 legs.
It's all the same.
They are. They're just like you and I. The only difference is they were born into this. So realistically, the same as the ones, in a sense, in England especially, the money's got to be kept in the family. So the marriage is set to keep the money in the family. And then, of course, the woman has her bit on the side and the bloke goes and plays with the boys as a rule. As a rule. Not all of them, I'm not going to say all of them, but a lot of them. And you can just see it, private schools, that sort of thing. And I always ask the question, what makes him any different to me? How did he get up on that podium? I'm just the same as him. And in fact, when you're on my couch, you're at the mercy of me. So realistically, we're equal. You know, you breathe, I breathe. But these have got all this notoriety, so to speak. Like Trump, like you say, his son, Barron, I believe, he was the one that got him into everything, that got him where he went to go to, so to speak. But there's even secrets that Trump and everybody don't want you to know. They've all got skeletons in their closets, and they're all just trying to line their own pockets.
He was friends with Epstein, wasn't he, for many years as well? Like people forget. And he was very for the lockdowns and that 4 years ago as well. He was so. I don't know, man. Like I say, I just try and stay in main lane and just try and not ruffle too many feathers, but you still got to have a bit of a backbone to speak some facts. But I think we're living in a day and age where everybody's got social media and platforms with people just waffling shite. So we do need to be careful what we're promoting. Did you work with anybody else? Was it any other kids or men that you worked with?
Excuse me, in what context?
Just in like an escort and kind of field?
In the sense of like,
was there other people at these parties that you knew and made friends with
there
afterwards?
There was one, one girl in particular. Bless her. Like I said, I reached out to her.
Was she an escort?
Yes, she was. She was the same as me.
So men and women both escorts.
Yes. Yeah, we had women.
Because I'm
men,
wondering how the fuck do you get 200 people at a party and they all stay silent on it?
That isn't like that. Like I said, when I walked into this big red carpet, we come up and there's 2 big lines on the post on the way in there. Give you a hint. As I said, there's a lot of hints in the book as well, which I do. Even myself, that doesn't know much about politics, I can read who, because obviously I know who they are. But there's a lot of hints to who these people are with Gigolo. You walk into the room, you've got the mask on, you stand there, okay. Now what's going on with champagne? There's people walking around. You've got blokes that have literally got the thing on with skimpy pair of trousers. Shorts, if you know what I'm saying. So obviously they're, homosexual. They're walking around and pleasing with the drinks and stuff like that. I go walking in with the lady that I was in question with at the time. I go walking in, Vivian, I believe. I go walking in with her, and I sort of stand in the corner, to the left-hand side of the corner. This is how I got to the kitchen. It's the same kitchen thing. And in one side, I can hear almost like, how can I put it, the Labour Party, in a sense, all sitting there chatting. And then you've got the Conservatives, you've got the Liberals, you've got all these people from power. And then you've got the actresses thrown in, a few models, not all of them, you know what I mean, just a few. And then if you think about this, it's a massive hall. So they're all sitting there all drinking. Now, the stairs go up through the hall. So basically, you'll see two of them, off they go, and they'll come back down. And they go off they go, and they come back down. Then it's my turn to go up, and then come back down. Again, shower, off I go again. 2 in one night, and that's when I stood in the kitchen looking. So it's a constant process of these guys having their little chat, doing their little business, smoking their stokies, having their bit of fun, and then off they go to wherever they go to afterwards. It was a kind of like constant process. For me, when I say 200 people, I'm guessing. I couldn't stand there and count every head member, but I felt like I was in a nightclub, literally in a nightclub, but with space. Do you know, does that make sense at all? You can't do this in a nightclub, but you could there, so to speak. The parties themselves, I think the worst one was when I went up to a room, and I was thrown into a room by one of the ladies mentioned in here, Vivian, and there was about 30 people. I'd say hundreds because the lights were off, but there was people at it all over the place. I mean, that was going on. You could hear screaming, all sorts. Basically walked in there, and I fucked her in there, and there was hands everywhere. There was things going on, and God knows what. You could feel people saying, she just, on top, fuck me. So I fucked her, we left, and that was the end of it, basically. And there was also, I know it sounds crazy, little holes people could look into. Some of the rooms if you wanted to. But it's each an individual kink. Everybody's got a kink. Now, I'd go through millions with you, being wrapped up in cling film, covered in baby oil, having the dog watch, having your husband watch, you know what I mean? These sort of things. But the kink for a lot of people is being in a room full of hundreds of other people all having sex at the same time. That was a little bit uncomfortable for me, but I'd done it anyway because I usually jump in first and ask questions later. Obviously,
what happened? The dog watch? Who was that?
Oh God, that was a farming lady, shall I say? This wasn't anything sort of celebrity-wise or anything like that. She called me, and it was local to where I am, and it's quite funny actually because I still remember it now, and I can't even say it right, even sort of smirk because my friends, a couple of my mates know this one. Basically went up to this little cottage out in the countryside, beautiful little place. I went in, I said, hello, how are you? We chatted away, she had a cup of coffee. I said, you don't get that when you walk in and it's like, boom, straight at it unless you've met a few times, if you know what I mean. That kind of falls in afterwards. And drink, cup of tea, coffee, black coffee. I sat down, I was drinking, I was chatting away. Next thing she said, so where can we go then? I said, it's your choice, wherever you want to go. Here? I said, yes, that's kitchen. I said, absolutely fine. So bent over the kitchen. Dogs have got to watch. They had to watch. So there's 2 greyhounds, racing dogs in there. And I remember grabbing hold of her, and I just remember this cold nose from this dog going right between my legs, up my bottom, basically, and I fucking jumped. And she went, that's it, keep going, keep going. And the dog was sort of trying to hump my leg at the same time I was trying to do this lady. And I'm not joking. It was in a case for me of, okay, you know what I'm saying? What do you do? But I'm getting paid for this. It's my job. I mean, I'm not there to judge. I'm not there to up to people what they do. But I swear to God, when I left, I swear that dog probably done something that I wouldn't do if you knew. Do you know what I mean? That sort of thing I would do, but still. So yeah, there were some funny ones. And then obviously after the book, I got a couple of phone calls. I'm off all social media now, and I keep saying that, and that's a good thing for me. And again, well-off ladies. There's a lot of well-off ladies out there that are single, that have got careers that they want. They need to have that part of their life fulfilled. Obviously, we all do. We're all human, and to have someone you can trust, who knows you clean, quiet, respectful, and a gentleman, and knows what he's doing. Perfect. But it was always breaking the ice. We had a chat. Next thing you know, sometimes it'd be a massage first. Not this time. See you next week. Go back next week. A slow process. Not every woman was as confident as. That's the difference between these guys and everyday people. Everyday people take their time. They're a little bit cautious, a little bit scared almost. You know what I mean? A little bit anxious. A couple of them have said to me, oh, my heart's beating. I don't know what to do. And I'm like, just relax. You don't have to do anything. We'll just chat. Have a see how we get on and have a drink. That's fine. There's no problem. I'll give you a massage. Nothing needs to happen. That's absolutely fine. I said 8 times out of 10 it would happen. In the book, completely different clientele. Control. I'll do what I want. You do what I want you to do. I don't care. This is me. the other ladies on the other side of things, very cautious about their bodies, very aware. Some cover themselves up, and I'm like, no, it's part of my job to make them feel really confident about themselves. And I've got to say, I've never seen a bad naked woman. I haven't. No matter what size and shape they form they come into, I've never seen a bad one.
Yeah, I've seen a few, mate. I've seen a few, man.
So look at the look on your fucking see it. No, I must admit though, I know it sounds crazy. I like big women. I like all sorts of women, and honestly, I love having something to hold on to. And some of the big women that come in, I've got to be honest, I look at them and I think, wow, they actually give me more than this perfect model type, if it makes sense at all. My stipulate is cleanliness, obviously. I make sure that I'm literally clean from top to bottom. Every part of me smells gorgeous. That's why I went in there before I come in and sprayed myself. That's just who I am. And it's the same I asked for them. I said, if there's anything that I'm not happy with, I just walk away. So,
Were they all married, single?
The four that I had, the 3 or 4 that I had afterwards, after the book and started going back into it, one was married. But the husband knew. I told her, I said, I'm not doing anything unless he knows. I've even told a couple of married women to go away and talk to their husband. I said, because if you come and see me, you'll make the biggest mistake of your life, and you can't take that back. I said, obviously there's something wrong. I said, but I will not go anywhere near you until your husband even know, or you go and talk to him at least. I am a good guy, but don't get me wrong, I love to fuck. That's that simple. Do you know what I mean? It is, again, that's where, that takes over that, I suppose, and that's, but there you go. So yeah, I have told them straight, don't do it. But
How long would you need to sleep with these people for? Was there a set limit, target you had to hit, or?
Oh, no, I just took it as I said. I weren't even thought of it. Just took it as a come a bit extra. When I went, it was I got the clientele. The extra money's always very handy, as I said to you. So if I got 4 of them for a month, that's 4 treatments a month. That's the bits that I needed for the kids and the house and everything like that. It sounds crazy, but it's true. Money's hard to get hold of, isn't it? You got to work for it. But the worst thing about it is a couple of them started to sort of fall in love with me. And it was getting more of a point of, can you come around every night? Can we sort something out? And it was like, look, this is a business. I told them, do not fall in love with me. And not. You'd have to appreciate and be in the same room as me before I expect anybody to understand this without me coming across big-headed. But I have a way of making you feel so comfortable, so calm, so relaxed, and ready for this treatment. The massage is there. All your thoughts of insecurity and everything's gone out the window at that point. It's completely gone. And usually you find that the sort of, I don't like saying the word common, but the women that are hard working and, business in a sense, they like to keep themselves business rather than relationships and family. They were great yeah, fine, thank you, off you go. They got their fix, that's all they needed. And it is a fix to them. It's just a fix. That's what I was, the fix. Sorry. But like I said, the common side of ones, it was the build up. I mean, I've had so many clients where they really lack of body confidence. And every story's the same. The gentleman that they were married to or with has really pulled them down, gone a bit too overprotective. We're all guilty of that as men. We get, but when women ask us to be protective, and then when we do, they don't want it. Do you know what I mean? So realistically, with me coming in and basically saying all the things of how it should be, in a relationship and stuff, I'm no expert. I don't know enough about their marriage, but I'm just saying for them as a person, you shouldn't feel that way. You should feel confident. You should know that you're a beautiful lady. You've got a lot going for you. But at the same time, it takes 2 to tango. Does that make sense at all? And I'm not the best remedy for them. And I've told them, have a week's think about it and then text me later. And if you want to, we'll do it then. And like I said, there was dinners. There was all sorts in my area where I live, so to speak. We went out in the city and then we went back and done things. Nobody really had a clue. Everyone was whispering, so to speak. But yeah, I was working.
What was the majority of the women? What were they wanting the majority of the time? Was it the sex, or was it the companion, or was it the friendship? What was it?
It was a mixture. It was a mixture. I mean, the sex side of thing was always there. It was always there because that's what I was there for. There was occasions when not in the mood, can we cuddle up and watch a movie, play the boyfriend part, that sort of thing. But again, the hardest thing is I'm finding intimate moments with these people. There's going to be a connection there. It's like if we met up for the next month and had a beer, we'd get a connection. We'd feel, like now, so to speak, we'd feel like actually he's nice guy, we're gone. And it's the same for them. And then at that point, we crossed that friendship line. And, it's like, oh, how can I charge you now? Do you know what I mean? It's really difficult. So I remember actually starting a relationship with one of the clients after the book, the first one out. Because again, I was young then, I was naive, I didn't know what I was doing. And it was great. And now I was a bit older and, you know, things around me a bit more mature. It was a bit like, oh, do you really want to be doing this now? You know, it was kind of like the old man saga. Like basically, when I was in, I can still do it. I can still hold on. No, I can't. No, I can't, so to speak. You know, I can go for that 10-mile run. No, I can't. But at the same time, it was an experience that I went through for about 3 years again. And even now, in a sense, you know, there's been offers and stuff, but I haven't because, as I said, I'm just trying to just do the right thing by my kids more than anything. You know.
Have you got old photos from your 25, 26? Have you got photos of stuff when you were training and back then?
Yes, loads of them, absolutely.
Because obviously people will question now you're sitting here at 50, aged a bit, and people are going, is this cunt telling the truth?
The Lowestoft College, if you go to Lowestoft College, you'll see it now. I've got a plaque in there with my name on it. It says Sports Therapist of the Year Award and all that sort of thing. So yeah, I've got all those qualifications and everything like that. I can even show you a text a minute ago from yesterday. Someone asked me to arrange a threesome for them.
Did they?
Yeah, oh yeah.
With you?
Yeah.
What about, why are you so confident that you're good in bed?
Simply because I take my time. I've been doing it for so long now that it's like, you know, people take off the work as a job. As the anguish is out, I sort of go into mood and, like I said, there's something in me, I suppose. The girls will tell you that I just, ravenous in a sense. I just become completely different in that bedroom to what I am now. I'm a completely opposite. I'm like, you know, I really want to, you know, and I want to feel it. I want it to go on. I don't want to walk out of here knowing that I've done something and we've had a good time, so to speak. And for me, that is just a release. It takes all that tension away from the world and all the shit that they throw at you. And it does. So I take it out on them, so to speak, in a good way,
How long did it take you to write the book?
Oh, God, that's a very good question. A lot of people were after it for a long time, but it wasn't until, like I said, someone come up, all in all about a year of all the bits, of getting all the information together, making sure it was all accounted. Because like I said, I don't want someone to throw something at me that's not true. I don't want that. It just makes me look like an idiot, and I'm not an idiot. You can see that. I hope you can see that anyway. But to cut a long story short, a year with the ghostwriter going backwards and forwards, he sat down, he sent me a bit and said, what do you think? I thought, well, you've just made my life look amazing. In my eyes, I went there, fucked, and I left, and I got paid for it, and I used the money for my family and my kids. Is where he's made it out, you know, there's this fantastic sort of gigolo thing. Don't get me wrong, I think I can play the part very well if you need me to, and you've got enough money, that's not a problem. But it's two accounts on this. It's the ghostwriter and mine to make it readable, if it makes sense, because my English is not very good. So realistically, in a sense, a year on down the line of 16 months to get it out and published and all that sort of thing.
Where can you go with it now?
I personally think, like I said, I've spoke to the agents and the ghostwriter or the agent, sorry, and he said the same thing to me every time. I'm not interested in the sales. He said, I've got to be honest, it was wrote for a film. We want a movie out of this. We want a short series out of it. He said, I mean, good luck to it. If it does, great. If it doesn't, then, you know, I tried. That's the main thing. My intentions are true because I just want a better life for my children. That's it. I don't care what anyone thinks. We're all doing the same thing. From now, there's, like I said, after the Met Police, I kept my head down for a year.
So why did they come again, the Met Police?
The second book I wrote, they asked me questions about Gigolo. It basically, I've seen like it was a way for them to get through the door so they could ask me questions about this book, Gigolo. But it was basically because I crossed the lines, and the new book that I wrote opened the world up to what actually goes on with the criminal empires and stuff, and how they're treated behind closed doors, should we say, and also the government's experimental things on men in the 70s and stuff like that. I actually looked after someone who had half his brain taken out while he was under LSD. And, you know, they watched and operated on him. This went through World War II, you know, and all that sort of thing. It was during the war, they were trying to get these drugs to increase our soldiers' stamina. I mean, I don't know if it's common knowledge, but they used to use amphetamines to the guys, the pilots. They used to slip amphetamines in the soldiers' food to get them to run faster, to work better. But no one knew nothing about it. Do you see what I mean? So it's the same sort of thing, realistically.
So what did they do? Put stuff in their stuff to...
Yeah, put amphetamines in. The
enhance their...
But yeah, you think about the flyboys, especially you know, in the war, the Battle of Britain. They needed stuff, and they were taking amphetamines, and the amphetamines was giving them that speed. You know, it was giving them the confidence and things like that to happen to go
take
forward.
Take away the fear and that.
Yes, exactly.
I know Vietnam and that they would start to bring out heroin then. That's how it ended up rife in America. Like, you're just guinea pigs, like all these young kids, boys going over there, eat that. But I didn't know it was laced with shit first. Some P. Diddy shit like that.
And did you know that's where swinging come from as well? This was the pilots in World War II and World War I and that sort of thing, because the American soldiers would come over and told to stay on base. So basically, all got together in the evenings, had drinks, and that's where the car keys were swapped. That was their room keys. They all swapped because they couldn't have an outside life. So all the you know, and you can research this online. It's the truth. It's where the swingers come from. Basically the flyboys during the war. And if you think about it, if it's laced with some of that stuff, they're going to be a little bit more inviting to it anyway. So,
well, you see, before you went through all that, and it's all the kinky stuff and all the weird shit. Like, what was it? Your mindset like before you got involved?
I was.
Were you always experimental, or was it just the normal kid, just missionary fucking doggy style kind of?
No. I kind of had.
Or did that open your mind how freaky the world is?
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, in a sense, for the massage side of things, you know how to touch people and where to touch them. You know, it's essential. You know, body massage. When it comes to stuff like that, I used to walk in there and I used to think, I didn't see that. And sometimes even now, I'll sort of sit there and shake my head over the memory. Something will jolt my memory of a certain thing that happened. I'm like, no. You know, little things like that, if you know what I mean. Is, you know, you look at your porn and stuff like that, and obviously it's consenting adults were in the room, you know. The things that were popular, like I said, was, you know, they used to love swapping spunk around all the while between the mouths and stuff, you know, and, you know, eventually come back to me. It was, you know, for a bloke, exactly, you know. I mean, that's one of my not better moments, should we say.
So what were they doing? Someone coming in their mouth and then they just pass it round?
I did, yeah, and then they passed it and come back to me. So kiss, and then they back to me.
That.
Dirty bastards they are.
Dirty,
But what can I say?
smelly
What can I
bastards.
say? Yeah.
But it's not that. It's not fucking. It's not the worst. Do you know what I'm saying? It's just.
No.
What is that then with them? Like, did you realise you were in a place of power, or were you so naive to it? You were just thought it was life.
No, I was very naive. I was young, you know. I mean, I come away from there, and again, if you think about it, I come from you know, a council estate. You know, and my parents worked damn hard, and so did my grandparents. I mean, it was all, you know the story. So for me, it was very eye-opening. I was sort of blinded away by the wow factor of, you know, straight away in my mind at that age, I thought these people are more powerful than me, they're better than me.
Were you expecting to? Did you see that as a? Were you expecting love, or were you expecting a welfare life if you fell in love with one of these people, or did you see that as a get out, like a free pass to then have a successful life?
In fact, there was one of the ladies in the book, the actress in question, and I did fall for her. And I think every man would, if they knew who it was, they would simply say, yeah, fair play, mate. And that is, I think, another reason why we kind of got stepped, because we got very close. She started to share a lot with me. And it was meetings with outside the committees knowing from what I was aware. It was different places. So we met in different places as we usually meet in the same place for these guys. It'd be completely different for her. And I did fall a bit for her, I've got to be honest. But I stopped myself completely. I said, no, you can't. You know, again, I'm living two lives here. I'm living the family man who's going to work and working there.
Was she married?
No.
So what was the problem?
The problem was, I think I come from poor background and she come from a very well-off background, but she was deemed to be married the year after, so she was engaged. So at the same time, there was something, I think realistically, the hardest thing for me to do was I felt like we really got on really well. The first time I met her, she cried her eyes out because, you know, I'd give her the treatment, I'd talk to her and all that sort of thing. The hardest thing for me was I never felt good enough, I suppose, to answer your question. I hate saying it, but I always felt like
The stable boy.
the stable boy, there you go. The servant, you know, I mean, look at Lady Chatterley's lover. What's wrong with that? That's a book. Same sort of story. Exactly the same sort of story, but the difference is Lady Chatterley's lover had one lover, I had about 100. So, you know.
How many women in one night?
5.
Rookie numbers.
Yes, I said.
Fucking rookie
probably is for him.
numbers.
Yeah.
No, is it? But how then? So if you got to, did you know it was 5 people in one night, or have you got to pace it out, or you fucking just high on coke? You're not giving a fuck. Like,
Yeah.
how
Yeah.
does it work?
My sex drive, like I said, is brilliant. I mean, I can come
Now?
every now and then.
We take
Not so much
Viagra
now.
and that back
No,
then,
never needed it. I was very healthy and
Active.
fit. Yeah, I'd run a lot and things like that. And my mindset, you know, as a man gets older, it's all in his mind. That's not about what's going on. You as a man, when you're younger, you look and you think, wow, look at all this. As you get older, you think, I've got to pay the electric bill next week. And straight away, you're trying to get yourself back in that. So I used to set myself in that mood. I used to watch a little bit of porn, be honest, get myself in the mood. I'd go there, the first client, lovely. Do you know what I mean? Good sort of half an hour, 45 minutes. That's, you know, usually on a night time, you know the score, you go on for quite a while. And then the second one would come along, so I'd have a shower, I'd wash myself off. By that time, I was ready to go again. I was ready to go. And that happened 2 or 3 times. And then the 4th time is a struggle. The 5th time is like, they want me to come. That's the thing. They really want me to come. And no one likes the person they don't come and they walk off. So it was kind of like, and that was when I walked out of there for the first time ever that I'd earned my money after the 5. And that was a regular thing. But you just set your mind in it. You're going for a stint of 8 hours of sex. Let's do it. The same as when you go for a stint of 8 hours of work. You do it. If you was to say for a building, I'd go out there and do 8 hours and he ain't done it for 20 years, he couldn't do it.
Using protection?
Sometimes.
Yeah, because there's filthy bastards, they wouldn't have used fuck all.
I know. Sometimes, like I said, I got quite close with some of them, and I knew that they were older, and they kind of like thinking, I don't want to catch nothing, obviously. But at the time, I was, I kind of knew them a little bit more than not having to. When you first meet someone, wear protection. Everybody should wear protection.
Did you have to get tested or anything?
Yeah.
It makes sense because a lot of porn stars get a rough ride, but they're tested every day.
Yeah. Even now I do. I mean, I'm still a little bit sexually active, obviously, but I still check myself now with one partner, and I'm still checking myself because I still think, will it catch up on me? Do you see what I mean? Sometimes I'd walk out there and I didn't wear protection and I'd be shitting myself. I'd be absolutely shitting myself. I'd be sitting there thinking, fuck, what if I caught something? How am I going to tell my, how am I going to do? You'd sit there for 2 weeks waiting for the results to come back and you would be, no one could talk to you. You're just like, I don't know what's going on. Maybe you felt cold or something. You just thought. So that was a very sort of eye opener for me. Very scary.
I know a lot of men were probably thinking, women and sex and it's great. But you lose yourself. Every OnlyFans porn star, male or female, they're dead.
Yeah.
Because they give something away. You're signing a piece of your soul away. You're signing something away that doesn't resonate. Like, you can make the money, it's great, but it's not going to fix whatever you've kind of damaged yourself with, especially being used and seeing the stuff. And I no doubt if you've went through all that, you'd have seen a lot of that stuff that you'll never even mention. So, but to go through that and see that, like I say, you start losing yourself. Like, you might not be paying money yourself, but you're signing away with something internal, with soul ties and sexual energy exchange. Like, it's so powerful. Like, when did you start kind of, your head starting to go?
That's the key word, sexual energy. That's the key word. That's what it is. That's my addiction, the energy. I'm there. I never felt so alive unless I'm having sex. I've never felt so alive. That was my thing, if you know what I mean. But you're right. That takes away a bit of your soul. And after then, these last few years, I've slept rough on purpose just to take myself back to a humble beginnings. Literally, didn't sleep rough for a couple of days, and then go to work, do everything just to take myself and find that religion. I've done a lot of research as well about the jinn coming out of the Bible and stuff like that, and how through sex and through opening your marriage it can enter you, and how you can sell your soul by doing that. You're giving them a piece of yourself, and you're opening yourself up to another world, supposedly. I felt it. I felt like there was, like you say, a piece of my soul was going, and I wanted to grab it back. And I think that's the main reason. Like I said, I come out very damaged and no help, no support. I had chats with people. I talked to a psychiatrist once in a job that I had to do. We had to talk to a psychiatrist in the one I was talking about earlier with the serial killers and stuff. And he said to me after about an hour, I didn't want to talk to him. I was chatting to me like I am, blah, 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 blah. He stood up and didn't say a word. He said, "What, shake your hand, mate?" He said, "Most people come in here with one of those things you just told me. He just told me about 8. He said, "I don't know how you're still walking, how you're mentally stable." And I said, "Because it's just life. We all get to the end of that. Why worry about the stuff in between? As long as you don't hurt no one and you look after yourself, it's all that matters." But I sold myself a little bit. And I massively, that's one of the things I think you hit the nail on the head I'm more ashamed about than anything. Because my soul and my sort of relationship with good things is good, But again, I was naive. I didn't realise I thought it was the right thing to do. Until years later, when you say you get older and you say, see, something you do 20 years ago, you didn't think later on it's going to affect me like this. You don't see it at the time, do you? So,
yeah, it's like anything when I was gambling or drugs. Like, my receptors in the brain can never make me really be excited or have happiness anymore, because when you're high on fucking gear and gambling, your dopamine levels are through the roof. So once you stop doing it, you think, man, is this my life? It's shit.
Yeah.
So when I start hitting targets and start doing well, everything natural, I just don't feel... Because I know how I felt in my 20s. I was just fucking, yes, it's the life. Do you know what I'm saying? But it was all suicidal kind of madness, kind of. It's hard to explain the method of thinking, but it does so much. You pay to it towards the end of your life, not the end, but years later. It's got to affect the brain. It's got to. Everything repairs, but I never get that excitement over the last 7-8 years because I think I fucking damaged it all. Where it doesn't really move.
No.
I do the cold water where I do get a buzz, but not the way I used to. So if obviously you're feeling sad, the only time you feel happy is having sex. Like, that's a sad place to be.
It is.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
were you ever suicidal?
I'm too selfish for that. That's the thing. A lot of people say to me before. There was a couple of times I sat there and I thought, "Oh, what's the point? What's the blame?" You know, you do, and I'm not going to lie to you. That was mainly through the divorce and the separation and stuff. I think that was the only time I was really a little bit like. Phew. But I had my children, and like I said, I'm the sort of person that I think to myself that suicide is a permanent solution to a temporary problem, a temporary situation. So you get, you know, who's to know what happens in 10 years' time. I will say to anyone though, just be warned to all you youngsters out there that what you reap is what you sow. Like you just said, as you get older, you start to think, oh God, why did I do this? But yeah, it is a very sort of, I do sort of like, I've spent a lot of time learning, Far Eastern martial arts, should we say, a little bit of boxing and running and stuff like that with the therapy, bit of qigong. And I really took it on and balanced myself. I really threw myself back into my exercise. I went running, I started doing calisthenics and stuff like that. Really putting it back into, like yourself. That's why, in a sense, when I see your story, I think, you've been there, you've been through hell, and you've been broken into a million pieces, but now you're coming back out twice as strong as what you are. So at the stage I am now, I'm glad that I went through all that, and I learned all that, because now, even getting up in the morning, I wake up and I take a deep breath, and I'm so happy that I'm alive. And I'm so happy that I've got my children, and things are okay, if you know what I mean. And that's why this book scares me. Things are nice, they're gentle, they're okay.
Would you change anything?
No, I don't think I would, actually. I don't think I would, because again, it's made me the person I am today. I think in hindsight, I'd have played it a little bit more clever, and I would have probably got a little bit more leverage like they were using at the time.
Gained more?
Yes, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but somebody in a place of power in their 50s, 60s, they're too ahead of the game, they're too advanced. They're too advanced for people their own age, never mind young, innocent, kind of naive people, where everything can be manipulated to their own gain.
And it is like a game of chess with them. They're so intelligent. You might even think you're getting one of them. You think, but no, they'll have the last laugh. They always will. It's almost like they know every situation. Like you say, they've lived it. They know exactly what's coming.
Yeah. And they're ruthless.
They are ruthless. Yeah,
they'll step on anyone and discredit anybody, kill them off, prison, set them up. Like, that's the way it operates. That's the way the world is. It is controlled by fear.
Yeah, it is. No freedom of speech anymore.
Yeah, there's nothing like that. But yeah, it's a weird little world. But like I said, the question, why did you get involved in it?
Like I said at the time, I was a very good looking lad, you know what I mean? I got a lot of attention all my life from women. Again, it's the way I hold myself, and I don't think that's to do with so much looks. I think it's the way I make people feel, how confident I make them feel. I don't treat people like shit. Like I say, be a gentleman all the while. But yeah, it's definitely had its impact, put it that way. Sorry, I missed the question.
That's all right. No, a couple of times you've been forgetful. What is that as well?
Literally, my head is going through things, and I'm thinking, you can't say that, you can't say this, you can't say that, because there's names. I mean, the names that are changed in the book, and I'm using the names that are in the book right now, and I'm stopping myself from using their right names. A couple of times I've nearly gone and stopped myself. And also the other thing is, I don't want to rush my questions. I want to take my time. I want to answer them properly. Like going back to that one you asked me about regret, there's some things I do regret. And the only thing I regret is what I've done to my family with all this. And myself, I can handle it, I can take it on. But there's crap that brought to my family, that's a little bit regretful.
Yeah, because anybody like a sex worker, that you're selling yourself short. Yes. At the time, it's maybe exciting. You think you're getting a bit of dough. I look at these OnlyFans girls now and sleeping with like 1,000 men in a day. Like back in the day, a page free was known as a slut.
It was, yeah.
Now you go on Instagram.
Yeah.
Everybody's a slut then, because everybody's got the bathing suits on, everybody's on holiday, they're showing some flesh. Yeah. That's how they sell themselves. It's no different for a dating app. We're presenting ourselves as how much attention can we get. And at home with a human being, two human beings, girlfriend, boyfriend, husband, wife, they're not getting the same hit as they would posting a photo on social media. So we've become irrelevant to each other. So nowadays, like I say, page free, you've got your tits out, everybody, she's a slag, playboy, naked, bit of porn. Yeah. Seeing a guy coming in with a moustache, can I fix your washing machine? People having sex, and you thought, that's dirty. Yeah. Nowadays, they've upped the ante. If you're not sleeping with 10 people in one day, 100 people in one day, 1,000 breaking world records, we're normalising madness. And the more we're normalising, the more disconnected we're becoming. So we need to be careful what we're watching. We need to be careful what we're feeding the mind. But there's so much out there. you normalise it all. So
Yeah.
everybody's then trying to push the boat. All these kids are then, I can beat that. Like I say, we went from page 3,
To-
but
yeah.
a Playboy, porn,
I know,
fucking
I know.
the moustache fix in the washing machine, to then
Yeah.
just shagging everyone.
Yeah.
Like it's
Yeah.
so damaging. And I grew up with porn. Like I grew up with a 10-minute preview.
Yeah.
And I thought that was fucking fantastic. Do you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Now
Yeah.
it's so accessible from the click of your fingers on a phone, and people are
is.
getting lost by it because 80% of the stuff that's out there, the porn, is abuse.
Yeah.
So we're watching people being abused, but yet we're normalising it because we think, because we've got testosterone, our natural instincts is to be horny,
Yeah, it is,
want
yeah.
to have sex,
Sex,
but we're,
yeah.
we're not making love, we're not, like you say, there's no
Yeah.
compassion, there's nothing,
no,
understanding,
no.
it's everything's dead.
Exactly, and that's what happened to me. I become dead, I become numb. That's exactly it. And you're right. I had the OnlyFans. I had 3 women come up to me and say, "Let's do OnlyFans. You'd make a fortune. We'd make a fortune." And this is what I said to them: out of the billions of people that are on OnlyFans, 1% make it. So you could go 30 years of selling your body. One person around here gets wind of that. That's your reputation down the drain. I said, "Are you willing to lose everything just to get a little bit of money?" And that's what I did then. I'm not willing to do that. And I wouldn't go on there. So I'm not on there. And like I said, I'm not on any social media now because there's so much more to the world than what goes on in the online. And
No, but
it's
to
a load of
promote your
rubbish.
book and that, though, you've got to be out there. You've got to take the hits.
I know,
There's going to be people
I know.
talking shit about this podcast and this conversation.
Yeah,
You've
I
got
know,
to take
I
the
know.
hits
Yeah.
to then
Yeah.
get your name out there. And like I say, if you want to feed your kids, you've got to put yourself in the firing line.
Yeah.
As sad as it is,
Yeah.
but people are going to talk shit no matter what. People are going to judge your story. And no matter who it is, I can have anybody on this podcast. There's always going to be judgment
Yes.
because we're all judgmental bastards. It
are.
makes
Yeah.
us feel
We
better
are.
judging
Yeah.
other people.
Yeah,
But
100%.
like I say, I can only ask the questions. It's down to the individual how they answer them. I'm
Yes,
not asked.
exactly,
It's, like I
exactly
say,
it.
it's all down to that. But plans for the future then, where can you go forward? Like, can you have a simpler life? Can you bring out another book? Can you mention names? Because obviously people will want names. People will want you to go full steam ahead and risk it all, because then people will buy into it more.
Yeah, of course.
Do you know what I'm
they
saying?
will.
I
Of
could
course
write
they
a book,
will.
you know, give so many names and says, listen,
Yeah.
done this, done that. People believe it or not, don't really give a fuck. But
Yes.
people want the nitty gritty.
Yeah, they do. They do. Everyone wants the nitty gritty, and that's the thing I think with Gigolo that's left everyone a bit like, what's going on, so to speak. But it's a book. Read it. Have a read. See what you think. I think once you read between the lines and you see the understory between the writing of someone's struggle that is naive and put into this situation. And like you say, the youngsters these days are getting fed so much stuff about this is how it should be, this is how it should be. So much pressure on people and stuff like that. We've got to stop all this. It's got to stop. I'm not proud of what I've done. I've got to be honest. I'm not proud that I was a sex worker. I enjoyed it, but I'm not proud of the fact. And when you say regretful, you've got one life, and I'm here and I'm doing things, and tomorrow I'll be doing something else. For the future, I've actually took, like I said, a little bit away from Gigolo. Gigolo brought a lot of wrong and right attention. And I've now just got another sort of ghostwriter that I'm working with at the moment that's going to write the serial killer one and number 1 before Gigolo, in a sense, and go through it with me. So that'll be something to look forward to in the future. Like I said, they're all parts of my life. Every book that I've wrote is all a part of my life and a segment up to this age now and how I started and things like that. 13 years on the trawlers. And in other words, anyone who does that job will have the bollocks to pretty much do anything. I mean, a bank robbery, in a sense, yeah, there's pressure on that, but not as much as going out to sea to catch fish. So automatically you're up to that level of adrenaline. I'm up to that living on the edge. And I think that's what dragged me into it, because I wanted to live on the edge. I wanted the excitement. I wanted to experience everything. I put myself in that situation to work with these sort of people, to take myself from a small little town and build up in London, get a name for myself. And it ended up with me doing sex. The main plan was to be a good therapist. That was the original plan. So now, in a sense, I'm going to sit back. I'm going to enjoy my time with children. I'll go backwards and forwards to work. And I love every minute of life. I'm so thankful that I got through all this and I've managed to come through. I don't care what people think. I judge people on one fact and one fact only, how they are with their children. Other than that, you do what you want. That's the only time. It's my flaw. I judge them. I think, how is this person with their children? Because you know exactly what the person's going to be like, how they treat their children. So realistically, in a sense, I kind of put Gigolo right behind me and want to reinvent myself and come out again. Because again, the heat's on, the pressure's on, the Met Police turn up at your door. Again, if I had something to back it up, in a sense, I had the lifestyle that these guys had, then quite easily I'd sit here and say, I protect myself. But I can't. I'm working for a living. I'm still paying taxes. Unless this go boom, I can't really afford to say anything else.
How would you feel if your kids followed your footsteps?
It ain't happening. It's not happening. And if they did, I'd be. I think there's two minds to me with that one, because I've always tried to look at those sides. Look, you have a life, and that's the thing. As far as the boys are concerned, I'd try and put them off it as much as I could. Please don't do that. Like you say, you're selling your soul. Your piece of you is missing. We're desperately trying to get it back, all of us. And at the same time, but when it comes to my daughter, I don't even want to think about it. They literally send me over the edge to think. No, I can't even put it in my head. You see what I mean? So, no, hopefully they'll learn from my mistakes, and I hope a lot of people will learn from my mistakes. You know, make sure you've got evidence. Make sure you protect yourself. Don't be naive. Make sure if you write something like this, that you're ready for all the critics, if you know what I mean. For me, in a sense, I'm a stand-up guy. I'd rather someone come to my face and say how it is, call me whatever you want. I'll probably agree with you, I am a cunt. But at the same time, don't knock on something you know nothing about, if you know. That's what kind of got to me a bit. And then I thought, well, you haven't read it. How could you comment on something you're not read about? You know, the first thing I do is read it and then comment. Yeah, comes some questions, fine. So, in a sense, I tried to leave this all behind me. Put it right behind me and move forward.
I think that's if anything you're struggling to answer, get answers, just ask yourself, would you want your kids doing it? Yeah. And I think every porn star and OnlyFans, male and female, if they answered with their true heart, they would say no, there's no chance. So it's funny how we know it's misery, but yet we're living in a bubble where we think money thinks kind of fixes it all.
Yeah.
And that's a sad reality. Like,
and this is the thing, we all chase money, and it ain't worth it. What can it do for you? It can't keep. I put a post on ages ago, and it said, someone said about money on YouTube. I seen the one I'm on now, and I said, it's all about money. I said, money, it's not what we need. Some bloke put on there, he said, well, actually, it is what we need. It's what keeps the world going round. I said, no. Can you burn it? Can you eat it? Can it keep you warm at night? Can you use it for anything? No, you can't. In fact, it doesn't even appear these days. It's just invisible money these days. I said, so realistically, you've got everybody in humanity running around for something. They ain't even celestial. They ain't even important, realistically, in the grand scale of things. There should be enough food to feed the world. You know, we can pump oil around the world, but we can't pump water. It's kind of the same old thing, doesn't it? At the end of the day, Gigolo is an insight. Whether people believe it or not, it's up to them. I'm quite happy with what I've done with it. I'm very balanced with it now. I'm satisfied because I'm ready to move on and do something else. Read it, make your mind up, and see what you think. It's an insight to what happens behind these closed doors with the MPs, the royals, and everybody else that goes along to these parties. The elite. Someone is a cut above the rest. I've been in that elite, and I've been around it enough to know that they're completely different to us. They have a different lifestyle, and their kinks are more exaggerated than ours will ever be, if that makes sense at all. Because they can.
We're the peasants.
We are peasants.
Peasants.
We're peasants, yeah.
Only if you believe it, but that's in their mindset. We're the peasants. We're the workers of 9 to 5. Do as we say.
Yeah.
We'll lock everybody down, but have fucking sex parties at Christmas while we all laugh at you. Like,
there you go.
If people just, sometimes I think people are naive. It can be a good thing as well, because living in your own little bubble is a good thing, because once you start understanding it, because of the levels of people I've interviewed, I get a gist of it, and I think, wow, man, sick fucks.
Yes.
But what can you do?
Exactly. I think the thing I did is I started looking at the positives. All the things I have got in my life. For one, you're breathing, you're healthy, you've got your family, you've got food, you're working, you're still doing all the same things. I chose to. I was so consumed by the greed, the money. I was so like, I want to get this, I want to get in with those people, I want to be this. I'm coked out of my fucking head. You know, I really want this. Oh, this is what I want. Next day you wake up, you go back to work, and you're different. Oh, we go again. And you start asking the question, hold on, the bloke who takes my money, I was with his wife last night. You know, how does that work in some man's head? It's going to drive a man nuts, in a sense, because you know the truth of her.
You think you were leading 2 different lives then?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, right out. Oh, I'm still now. Still now. I mean, people say about schizophrenia.
Do you know who you are? Or you're lost, do you think?
No, I was. But my children and myself, we went through it the last 3 years, and we are at a place now where we're so balanced and happy, touch wood, to stay that way. And do you know what? Do you know why? The secret to that? Give up money. Forget about it. Just be happy with what you've got. Just live your life. Put one foot in front of the other. You're going to be given opportunities. You're going to take them or you don't. This one opportunity changed my life. One day, 1 hour in my life changed it for the rest of it. Because I said I'd go to that house. And that's how I see Gigolo. I see it as a life-turning moment where I fell into it. It was an accidental thing for me. I didn't plan it. I didn't know what was coming. And that's it. That's what happened when you do go feet in first for everything. Yeah, go for it. Just take it. Because you're desperate to get to that point. And I left it all behind. I chucked all the clothes away, got rid of all the money, give it all to charity, if you want the honest truth. I now go out my way to help people more than anything else, because in my, if I want to get to the end of it, I've done this. Like you say, you've been there, you've bought a t-shirt, you've done it. Well, what good has it done me? Absolutely no good at all. No good at all. So let's move on and look at the positive things. And honestly, I feel great. I feel brilliant. Like I said, my only concern is what comes out of Gigolo and what it brings to me. Like interviews like yourself, and I appreciate it. I'm not knocking it. But again, you know, it's the biggest question on everyone's lips. Is it true? Is it not? I don't see why I have to justify if anything's true. You should be able to look in my eyes and tell whether someone's lying or not. If you think I'm lying and say, I think you're a liar, great, we'll move on. But there is no way in the world, after some of the things I've said to you and looked in your eyes today, that you'll think, actually, if he didn't know what he was fucking talking about, he wouldn't be able to tell me that. Because it is just a completely different side. I did not expect that. So that was the reason for Gigolo, a separate part of life. Now I'm back on track again, and we're living the normal life of normality of going backwards and forwards to work. And to be honest with you, after Gigolo, I look at my job and think, thank you, God. It's very simple. It's very basic. I go backwards and forwards. I feed the kids. Everyone's happy. We have our little holidays. Do you know what I mean? It's great. This, I didn't get a chance to touch the floor. I was too busy. I was so high as a kite half the time. I didn't even know what was going on. Do you know what I mean?
What do you think of people watching? What would you say to them who maybe look up to these people who are filthy rich, your MPs, your top chief inspectors, sports stars, actresses, actors? What would you say to people?
I'd say to them, out of all of them that I've met, there's about 10%, maybe 5% that have got their head switched on. And they follow the path with, believe it or believe, not quite a godly sort of aspect. And they've really done well for themselves. But the rest of the 90, they're the ones that used to sit on my couch, crying their eyes out, full of anxiety, not knowing what was going on. It's exactly the same as us deep down. But they don't show you that, and they'll never show you that. But on my couch, that's where I go to work, and I speak, I talk, I do counselling sessions. It's a physical, emotional, and spiritual experience. It's not just on one level. Like I said, we'll see later. But basically, at the same time, when it comes to them, they're all falling apart. So if you do go for it, be prepared to sell a bit of your soul. Also be prepared to do things you don't like. And also be prepared to basically get there and think, why did I bother getting this? Because when you get there, you'll realise that in all that, there's more stress and pressure in that level of life. And it's like Bruce Lee said, the higher you go in life, the higher you deem in your face. And that is very true. Very true.
How are you feeling today?
Fantastic, actually.
And where can people buy your book, Ben?
It's on Amazon. It's on Goodreads. It's not out on, the Kindle audio book. Yeah. They wouldn't take it. It's a bit too rude, apparently. You know, each their own, like I said. So it's available on most bookstores if you go in there, Waterstones and stuff, and it is Amazon and Goodreads, basically.
Ben, would you like to finish up on anything else?
I'd like to thank you for the opportunity for coming across, and I'd like to say to people, regardless to what has been said or anything, anything like that, it's a bloody good book. Have a read, get it to a film, and you can come for the party afterwards, and I'll put you through the paces that I went through. You're more than welcome. You can write your own book.
Ben, listen, all the best for the future, and good luck.
God bless you, my friend. Thank you so much.
Cheers, bro.